Hi everyone, it's Jessica Dybzinski. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited about the Close to My Heart Twisted Sisters hop that we are doing, and I'm going to be using Pawliday Express, this stamp and thin cut set here. You can see some of the adorable Christmas cards and the layout that is shown in the catalog, but I want to modify that cute car image and use it for some birthday cards and layout instead. Here you can see a birthday card that I have made, and it's missing that Christmas tree. I think once you take that Christmas tree off, then this image really works for birthdays or just anything that involves presents, and it feels less seasonal. So let's clear off the desk and I'll show you how I did this. So a couple things I'm using here. Sticky note. If you've got a full back sticky, that would be fine. I'm just going to use a regular one here. I'm using my intense black ink because I'm going to be coloring it with my tri-blends, and then I've also got some scissors and my Misty. Now, there are lots of ways that you can mask off different parts of a stamped image for sure. I am just focusing on one way that I am using for this particular stamped image. So I am lining up my sticky note in the corner of my Misty, and I made sure that the sticky part was over to the left side because that is the direction I'm putting my stamp on, where that tree is, and I want to cut the tree off. So I'm making sure that when I stamp this down onto the sticky note, that part of the tree is getting onto the part of the sticky note that has the stickiness on the backside. So I'm just gonna get a quick little image here. It doesn't have to be stamped perfectly. And then I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to cut around that tree. I'm going to get as close as I can to that outline there, but I don't want to cut into the outline of the car, which I want to keep. And then once I get around that tree, I'm just making sure to give myself a little bit of room so that that car is still on the sticky note. So it's really just the tree that I need to get close to. All right, so now what I'm going to do is grab my piece of white daisy cardstock and hold it in place here in my Misty. And then I almost forgot to check to make sure that my piece was big enough. Yes, it is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use that cut off part of my sticky note as a guide so that I can stick the other part back down. And remember, the sticky part of my sticky note is over to that left-hand side where the tree is. And then once I've got it all lined up, I can just pull that other piece off and the part of my mask for this stamp is down. So I can ink this guy up again, and I know it'll line up perfectly because I'm using my Misty. And the other reason that I wanted to do my masking technique this way is that when I am going to stamp something that I'm coloring in with my tri-blend markers, I really like to have my black outline nice and dark, and I like to stamp it more than once. And so usually I will use my Misty for those kind of images. And so this just seemed like a good way to do a masked image with the Misty. So let's pull this all off and see how it turned out. Perfect. I love it. And it is another little tip too, if when you make your mask, you still have a little bit of that unwanted image showing, take a white gel pen and just kind of use it like a whiteout over if you've got any little bits kind of still sticking out. Okay, then all I need to do is use the coordinating thin cut to cut that out. I'm actually going to use this one here that I've already stamped and colored, but what I did for the one that is colored here is I just very carefully cut with my scissors around where the excess part of the die cut is. I left the same amount of white margin around my stamped image, and so it was pretty easy just to modify the die cut even though it didn't have that tree stamped onto it. And then I am going to stack up 3 other layers of die cuts behind my colored one. And again, just kind of snipping off where that tree sticks out and making sure that it doesn't show anywhere. And then I'll use a little bit of liquid glue and a block to hold it down and just kind of layer those up so that it has some dimension. Now I am working out of the new Make It From Your Heart Volume 6, Pattern 16 here, and I'm going to use that for my birthday double page layout. So I know I want to add a little bit of background stamping behind where my pattern paper is going to go. So I'm just using my Versamat and T-square ruler to mark a line for myself where I need that stamping to occur. And then I am going to use an older stamp set for my set here. This is called Background Elements. I liked this one that has the dots and the line. The line made it actually really easy to stamp along the pencil line. So there's the one side of the page you can see I've already put together. And now I'm going to stamp this other one. Let me turn it around. It's easier to stamp when it's closer to me. And then, like I said, I'm just using that pencil line as a little guide. I'm going to stamp the dots all the way along the bottom. I like this stamp set because in this particular stamp, it's very forgiving. If you overlap some of those dots, it doesn't really matter. And now I can go back to my Versamat and T-square ruler to line everything up. Just layer that pattern paper right over top of that stamping. And now it looks like those dots are kind of floating up from the top of the paper. By the way, I am using Flower Shop, this pattern paper here. I really love it. I had a hard time actually finding enough left in my pack because it is one of my favorite paper packs, and I have just used almost all of it up, but I had enough to pull this birthday layout together. Okay, so this layout didn't have quite as many photos as I needed, and so I wanted to add just a few more. One of the photo spots does call for a 3x3, so I've just grabbed a 3x3 flip flap, and that enables me to put 2 additional photos in. And then also one of the photo wells is a 4x6 vertical, and so I just printed 2 3x4s and then stacked them on top of each other, and that gave me an extra photo there as well. So I'll just go ahead and get my flip flap down here. I'm going to kind of peel a little bit of that backing off, hold it where I want it, and then peel the rest off. I did recently do a video where I showed how to use some flip flaps, so I will link that in the description box down below as well as at the end of this video if you are interested in a little bit more information on how to do that. Okay, now I just need to put my other one down, and I will cut a slit in my page protector so that I can feed that top flip flap through, and that way it'll still be interactive when it is in my scrapbook. Okay, time to start kind of laying some of these embellishment pieces out and thinking about how I want to decorate my double page layout here. I love this guy, he's so cute, but he is facing to the right, so I want to make sure he's over to the left-hand side of my pages, so that way it looks like he is going to be driving across the page, not off of the page. And according to my daughter, he needs to go down here, and I think I agree with her. So I'm going to put him down there, but I feel like there's just a lot of white space, and so I do want to also maybe add some stamping down here. Part of the sentiment on the stamp set says zooming by to say, and then it is a Christmas set, so you could say Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas or a couple things like that, but I'm just going to use the part that says zooming by to say, and then I'll put in Happy Birthday with some die cuts later. Okay, again, too much white space. Looks like he's kind of floating a little bit down there. So I've grabbed a blending brush and some Capri ink. I'm just going to give him a little cloud of blue to sit on and break up some of that white. So I'll keep adding that in until it is dark enough, I think, and then I'll put him back over the top. Here you can see those die cut letters that I did. Those are just from the Simple Serif thin cut set. I did all the capital letters and I stacked them up 4 high. And then this is from the Slimline Shaker window. I just used this inner piece here. I do have a video to show how to make it a custom length. And again, I will link that in the description box down below. So I just kind of cut it shorter actually than the die cut is to make it fit for my journaling over on the right hand side there. Okay, so I want to stamp that zooming by to say, and I am going to use my archival black ink so that it's nice and dark. Put that foam pad underneath so I get a good stamped image, and I'll hold that down there until it is soaked into the paper and glue my little car right over the top. Later off camera, I had an idea of giving him some little exhaust fumes coming out of the back of the car. And so I went back to that Background Elements stamp set, and there's like a little tiny splatter stamp in there, and I just stamped it with some charcoal ink. A couple other little things, I put some pennant banners on here and then used that cute little present die cut that is in that same stamp set just to scatter a few presents around the page as well and really kind of play up that birthday theme. And now what I want to do is just as my final touches, a couple of little things with like a white gel pen and some stickles and some liquid glass and my shimmer brush. So I just want to share with you how I put some of those touching final touch-up details on. So I'm grabbing my white gel pen and I'm just adding a couple of little like shiny highlight marks around his tires and the bumper in the front of his car. And then I'm going to take my lemonade shimmer brush and I'm just going to dab a little bit of that lemonade sparkle right over his headlights and his taillights. I thought, they're lights, so maybe they're sparkling a little bit. And then I will use my clear shimmer brush to go over a couple of the things on the top of the car. So one of the presents and then that cute little heart that is in that yellow tag. Later, I will use my clear shimmer brush to also go over the happy birthday letters and then the presents that are on either side of the title. And then the final thing, second to last thing is some silver stickles here. I'm just going to put a little dab in the center of the bow on the presents. I'll do that on the other ones too, just so it's kind of like the knot in the middle of all the ribbon. And then I'm using my liquid glass to go over his eyeball, just to give it a little bit of extra dimension. So just a few tiny little touches that I like to do at the very end. I wait until the end so I don't stick my hand or my finger in anything and smear it or mess it up. I need to walk away now and let this dry. But here you can see some close-ups. There are the exhaust fumes out of the back of the car. I really love this stamp set, not only for Christmas, but for birthdays as well. All right, this was for the Close to My Heart Twisted Sisters YouTube hop. All of the other videos are in the description box down below, so make sure to check those out as well. I believe I am at the end of all of them. And thank you so much for being here with me today. Happy crafting. See you next time. Bye.